Our next guest is an angel on earth and in the sky, transporting thousands of animals from overcrowded shelters where time is running out to shelters across the country who have room and lots of love to spare. He's got some love to spare. Please welcome co-founder of Dog is My CoPilot, Peter Rork, and of course our very own Larissa's here too. Thank you, Peter, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Not only for being here, but thank you for all the incredible work that you do, and we're going to sort of highlight some aspects of it. But first I want to rewind a little bit. For years, you were an orthopedic surgeon.
Yes.
And you've made quite a change in direction and career. So tell us how that came to be.
Yeah, when I was practicing medicine, my wife Meg and I used to take the occasional rescue flight. I've been a pilot my entire life, and it was a real feel-good thing. And she was the real animal lover, and so we would fly them from A to B. For that dog or one or two dogs, it was a real game changer. So it was great.
And then so that just felt so good that you kind of kept it going, kind of thing.
Yeah, I didn't exactly get into it the way I thought. I mean, my wife suddenly passed away,
Okay.
and I was absolutely crushed. I was lost, and I went into the darkest period in my life. And
Sorry.
all I did was drink coffee and sit with my dog. And then a mutual friend of ours called me and said, "Peter, Meg would want you to be happy. You need to get out there." So I thought that I couldn't go back to medicine after watching what she had gone through. So I thought I'd start saving animals because it seemed like the right thing to do.
I love it. And at the time, when you first started saving animals, you didn't actually even realize how many animals needed to be saved. That was all a very eye-opening experience for you.
I had no idea. Just flying one or two, you know, you think you're addressing the issue. I was introduced to a gal, Sharon Lohman, in Merced, California, and she runs an organization called New Beginnings, and they were desperate to save the animals from their local facility that had a euthanasia rate of more than 90%.
Oh my goodness.
So she would pull the dogs that could be adopted, put them in a van, and drive them to Seattle, Portland, Boise, Missoula, Salt Lake City, Denver, and these are 14 and 16-hour one-way trips. So I said, "Sharon, I'll do that for you." I pulled all the seats out of the back of my aircraft, a small six-seater, and I started flying for a couple days a week.
That's
Wow,
amazing.
that's
It's
amazing.
No wonder you guys get along so well.
I feel like when you are witness to the horrendous magnitude of the problem, it's hard not to do something. So
Yeah.
thank you for doing something.
And in many ways, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to spread awareness
Yes.
and spread the word a little bit. Now, a few years later, let me get this right, 16,000 animals that you've flown to safety. You're not slowing down. So what's a typical flight like? What does it look like for you when you go on one of these rescue missions?
Sure, we have long days. We start early in the morning. We transport a lot in the spring and the summer when it's kind of warm. So we want to get them while the air is cool. We load the aircraft around 4 or 5 in the morning and then wheels up around 5:30. We'll usually make 4 or 5 stops because we're carrying 100, 200 dogs at a time, and no one group can take that many.
Wow.
So we load them in reverse order, make the multiple stops. The groups that we work with are kind of like a NASCAR pit crew. They just get them off the plane so I can get back in the air where it's nice and cool as quickly as practical, with a very well-developed sense of urgency.
What's the energy like?
Amazing.
Like, everybody must be so excited on the ground loading up the dogs because they know these dogs are all being saved.
Yeah, it's not as if they're coming to the cargo door and saying, "Oh, what a cute puppy." They know they need to get the dog off just as quickly as practical. So they're very well organized, and they're part of the solution.
Oh,
And
I love it.
when you said, what's the energy like, the first thing I thought was, what's the energy like of the dogs? You said like over 100 dogs on the plane. And I'm like, do any of them ever get out?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's just once or twice a year we'll have a dog that has escaped. These crates are used over and over again, so they'll break down. And my first clue that the dog is out, I've got him right over my left shoulder with hot breath coming down my neck and panting on me. But they're friendly. They just want to hang out.
I'm glad they're not like playing with the controls or whatever. But anyway, so once the shelters get these dogs, I hear that they get adopted so incredibly quickly, unless, of course, they come home with you. Tell us about Tortilla.
Yeah, I've brought 3 rescue dogs home with me, and the first one was Tia. Her name was Tortilla. I got her out of Roswell, New Mexico, and I said, "Baby, I'm not going to call you Tortilla." So we knew that number 4000 was on the flight, and they pulled her out, and she sat on my feet and looked up at me, and I said, "You're coming home with me." The unfortunate thing is that this dog was a fully trained service dog, and then when her person died, the family just took her to the pound. So I'm the lucky one here. The dogs do the choosing.
And she gives you smiles.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
That's incredible.
She's a grinner, and she snorts. And, you know, if you're not familiar with healers, you might think it's a sign of aggression, but it's not. It's a sign of love.
Oh, and you know, the last thing, there was another picture that you sent along that you said speaks 1,000 words. And I want to show it, and I want you to explain a little bit of the backstory and why it's so meaningful to you.
Yeah, whenever I start feeling overwhelmed by what I do, I always review that photo. And it was a gentleman who lived in Libby, Montana, and he had just lost his dog that he'd had for 15 years. He found a dog on Pet Finder, but it was too far away for him to rescue. He didn't have the resources to get it, and he reached out to a friend who then reached out to me. And so I made a special trip for this guy. And I mean, what's more all-American than a boy and his dog? And, and then when he was standing on the tarmac with that dog and I took that picture, I thought, this is what it's all about. This is what it's all about.
It really is. It really is. And I know you don't always get to see the final picture like that because you're dealing with shelters. So that's amazing, amazing things that you're doing out there. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Larissa, as always, thank you too.
Oh,
I mean,
of course,
the two of
thank you.
I can hang out with you guys all day. All right, everybody. For more information on Peter and his amazing work, go to dogcopilot.org.